What if the reason you're still stuck isn't because you lack the right tools, but because you're waiting for something to do the work for you? Look at your bookshelf. Look at your phone. Somewhere in there is a graveyard of good intentions. Planners you never opened. Apps you never used. Books you never finished. And still, the project is stalled. The gym bag is untouched. The dream? Delayed again. This isn't another motivational fairy tale. This is the slap in the face you didn't know you needed. Because nothing works if you don't. This audiobook isn't selling hacks or shortcuts. It's holding up a mirror to show you the one truth no productivity guru wants to say out loud. The app won't save you. The planner won't save you. The system won't save you. Only you will. So if you're ready to stop buying tools and start building results, click the link in the description. Get the book, Nothing Works If You Don't, The Raw Truth About Productivity. And take back control of your work, your time, and your life. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. At the end of the introduction, I gave you a simple command: spend 5 minutes on the task you've been dreading. Did you do it? If you did, you likely felt a strange mix of emotions. First, the resistance, the mental friction of starting something your brain had labeled hard. Then, perhaps, a tiny, almost imperceptible spark of momentum. A feeling of relief, not because the task was done, but because the waiting was over. If you didn't do it, I know why. A voice in your head whispered a very reasonable excuse: it's not the right time. I need to clear my head first. I don't have the right tools open. I'll do it properly tomorrow. That voice, the calm, rational-sounding voice of self-sabotage, is the subject of this chapter. Its favorite word is perfection. And its sole purpose is to keep you frozen exactly where you are. Here is one of the most important truths we will cover in this book, so read it twice. Perfectionism is procrastination in a tuxedo. It's the most socially acceptable, intelligent-sounding, and insidiously destructive excuse for not doing the work. We tell ourselves we have high standards. We say we want to do it the right way. But what we're really doing is hiding. We are waiting for a mythical alignment of the stars, a magical window of time where everything is perfect. We're waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect inspiration, the perfect business plan, the perfect amount of starting capital, the perfect office setup, the perfect stretch of uninterrupted time. We are waiting for someday. Someday is the most dangerous word in the English language. It's a beautiful, sun-drenched island on the horizon of your life where all your ambitions come true. On someday, you'll be motivated. On someday, you'll have plenty of time. On someday, you'll be confident and ready. The only problem? Someday never comes. There is no ferry to that island. It's a mirage. Every day you wake up, it's just today. And today is messy, imperfect, and inconvenient. Today is all you have. The choice to wait for a perfect tomorrow is a choice to sacrifice the only reality that exists, the imperfect now. The anatomy of waiting. Let's dissect this beast. When you say you're waiting for the right moment, what are you actually waiting for? It's usually a cocktail of 3 elusive ingredients that kill progress on contact. 1. Waiting for inspiration. We have this romantic image of the artist, writer, or innovator being struck by a bolt from the blue. A flash of divine insight, a visit from the muse. We wait for that feeling before we sit down to write, to compose, to strategize. This is a fantasy. Inspiration isn't a passive event, it's an active one. It doesn't happen to you, it happens because of you. Inspiration is found in the work itself. The blank page is not where inspiration is displayed, it's where it is manufactured. The friction of putting down a clumsy first draft, sketching a flawed design, or writing a single ugly line of code is what generates the heat that sparks an idea. The muse doesn't visit a pristine, empty workshop. She shows up when she hears the sound of the hammer. Waiting for inspiration before you start is like waiting for the fire to warm you up before you chop the wood. 2. Waiting for motivation. As we established in the introduction, waiting for motivation is a fool's errand. It's relinquishing control over your own life. It's saying, I will only act when my emotions grant me permission. Think about how absurd that is. Would you only eat when you felt an overwhelming passion for nutrition? Would you only show up to your job when you felt a deep, spiritual calling to be there that morning? No. You show up because a commitment was made. You eat because it's necessary. Professionals act out of commitment, not momentary emotion. The amateur waits to feel like it. The pro understands that action creates the feeling. The simple act of starting, of keeping a promise to yourself, is what generates the positive feedback loop we call motivation. 3. Waiting for ideal circumstances. This is the most logical sounding trap of all. I can't start the business until I have 6 months of savings. I can't start working out until I buy the right shoes and join the good gym. I can't write the book until the kids are older and I have a quiet home office. These sound like prudent planning. In reality, they are just walls you are building around your goal. Constraints breed creativity. Perfect, abundant resources often lead to lazy, bloated results. It is the scrappy startup in a garage, forced to be clever to survive, that disrupts the complacent giant. It is the writer with only 30 minutes a day, forced to be ruthlessly focused, who finishes their manuscript. The ideal circumstances will never arrive. Life will always be complicated. There will always be a leaky faucet, an unexpected bill, a demanding boss. Your job is not to wait for the storm to pass. Your job is to learn how to work in the rain. Let me tell you about Sarah. For 3 years, Sarah had a dream to open a beautiful little bakery. Not just any bakery, but the perfect bakery. She had a 40-page business plan detailing everything from the specific shade of periwinkle blue for the walls to the artisanal, ethically sourced flour from a remote village in Italy. She had a Pinterest board with thousands of images of rustic display cases and charming cafe tables. She spent her weekends endlessly tweaking her signature chocolate chip cookie recipe. Was it better with brown butter? Should she use wafers instead of chips? A hint of sea salt on top? This wasn't just baking, this was research and development. What Sarah wasn't doing was selling a single cookie. She was waiting. Waiting for a small business loan that was slow to come through. Waiting for the perfect corner storefront, the one with the big sunny window, to become available. Waiting for her recipe to be so undeniably perfect that it was guaranteed to be a hit. One afternoon, over coffee, she complained to a friend about her lack of progress. The friend listened patiently before delivering a dose of raw truth. "This is nonsense," the friend said. "Your plan is a fantasy. Your problem isn't your recipe, it's that you're terrified. I want you to go home, bake 3 dozen of your imperfect cookies, and sell them at the farmer's market on Saturday." Sarah was horrified. The farmer's market? With a wobbly card table and a cash box? Without her periwinkle blue walls and her brand? It was the definition of messy. It was embarrassing. But the friend's words stung with truth. She did it. That Saturday was a disaster by her perfect standards. Her sign was handwritten on cardboard. She forgot to bring enough change. A few cookies on the bottom of one batch were slightly burnt. But a funny thing happened. People bought her cookies. They ate them, right there in front of her. One person said, "These are great. A little sweet for me, but my kids love them." Another said, "You should try making these with oatmeal." She went home that day with $80 in her pocket and something infinitely more valuable, data. Real-world feedback. She learned more in 3 hours of messy, imperfect action than she had in 3 years of perfect, isolated planning. The $80 funded the next weekend's batch. The feedback helped her refine the recipe in a way her theories never could. The wobbly card table became her laboratory. The farmer's market became her proving ground. A year later, she got a loan and opened her shop. The walls weren't the exact shade of blue she had planned, but they were painted by a community of loyal customers who had been with her since the card table days. She didn't start strong. She started messy, and finished stronger than she could have ever imagined. Sarah's story isn't about baking. It's about physics. Specifically, it's about Newton's first law of motion: an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. Right now, your goal, that unwritten book, that unlaunched business, that unstarted fitness journey, is an object at rest. It is weighed down by the immense gravity of your own inertia. The perfect conditions you are waiting for are an illusion. You believe you need a giant, powerful rocket engine to overcome that inertia in one glorious launch. This is wrong. All you need is a push. A messy start is that push. It's small, it's awkward, it might even be ugly, but it changes your state from at rest to in motion. And once you are in motion, the laws of the universe start working for you instead of against you. Consider David, a software developer who wanted to build a revolutionary new app. He spent 6 months reading books on system architecture and debating the merits of different programming languages. He designed complex, beautiful databases on whiteboards. He was building the digital equivalent of Sarah's Periwinkle Blue Bakery. He hadn't written a single line of functional code. He was at rest. Finally, frustrated, he threw it all out. He gave himself one afternoon to build the stupidest, ugliest version of his idea he could imagine. The result was a simple black and white screen where you could type something into a box and hit enter. It did almost nothing. It was messy. But it was motion. By using that ugly version, he discovered that his initial idea was flawed. The core feature he'd spent months designing in his head wasn't actually that useful. The simple act of creating a tiny, moving part gave him the momentum to build the next part, and the next. That messy, ugly prototype was the first push that eventually led to a finished, successful product 2 years later. His competitors, who were still designing their perfect app on a whiteboard, were left standing still. The takeaway is this: the amount of energy required to get started is immense. The energy required to keep going is significantly less. Don't focus on the perfect launch. Focus on the first, messy push. Your goal is not to be impressive on day one. Your goal is to simply not be at zero on day one. Your messy start mandate. It's time to stop being a theorist of your own life. It's time to get your hands dirty. We're going to turn the principle of starting messy into a direct order. I call it the messy start mandate. This is not a suggestion. This is your assignment. Isolate the goal. Pick one, just one, significant goal that you have been delaying until conditions are perfect. Write it down on a piece of paper. Be specific. Not get in shape, but be able to run for 20 minutes without stopping. Not start a business, but get my first paying customer for my web design service. Identify the ugly first step. Brainstorm the absolute smallest, simplest, most basic first action you could take to move toward that goal. This action should not require buying anything or asking for permission. It should be something you can do right now, with the tools, skills, and time you currently have. If your goal is to run for 20 minutes, the ugly first step isn't to research running shoes, it's to put on whatever sneakers you own and walk/jog for 5 minutes. If your goal is to get a paying customer, the ugly first step isn't to build a beautiful website, it's to email one person you know and ask if they need help. If your goal is to write a novel, the ugly first step isn't to outline the entire plot, it's to open a document and write one paragraph describing the main character. Execute for 15 minutes. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Not 30. Not an hour. Just 15 minutes. During that time, you have one job: execute your ugly first step. Ban the voice of perfection. Quality is irrelevant. Progress is the only metric that matters. If you're writing, write badly. If you're designing, design ugly. If you're making a call, stumble over your words. The goal is not to do it well, the goal is simply to get it done. This mandate is your weapon against the tyranny of someday. It's how you prove to yourself that the perfect conditions are a myth and that the only thing holding you back is a story you've been telling yourself. The perfect time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Your perfect conditions are a lie. Your messy, inconvenient, and resource-strapped today is the only thing that's real. Stop waiting. Start. Chapter 2. Motivation is a lie. You did it. You took the messy start mandate from the last chapter and you put a dent, however small, in that goal you've been avoiding. You spent 15 minutes in the trenches. You generated a tiny push of momentum. For a moment, the inertia was broken. But what happened this morning? When the alarm went off, how did you feel? If you're like most people, the brief glow of yesterday's accomplishment was gone, replaced by the familiar, heavy blanket of "I don't feel like it." The resistance returned, perhaps even stronger, whispering, "See? That was a fluke. You're not cut out for this. You're just not motivated today. Try again tomorrow." This is the next great barrier to achievement, the hurdle that trips up 99% of people. It's the belief that you need to feel a certain way before you can act. It's the worship of a false god, motivation. Let's get one thing straight. Motivation is real, but it's not what you think it is. We treat it like the star quarterback, the hero who has to be on the field for the team to win. In reality, motivation is the cheerleader who only shows up when you're already winning. It's the fair-weather fan who loves you when you're on a hot streak and is nowhere to be found during a losing season. You cannot build a championship team around a fair-weather fan. And you cannot build a life of accomplishment around a fleeting emotion. This chapter is about firing that fan. It's about dismantling the most pervasive lie in the entire productivity industry. Motivation is not a prerequisite for action. Motivation is a reward for action. You have been taught to see the world like this: feeling, motivation, action, result. This formula is the reason you are stuck. You are waiting for the feeling to magically appear so you can start. The truth, the secret that every high performer knows deep in their bones, is that the formula is backward. The real formula for success is action, result, even a tiny one: feeling, motivation. You don't get motivated to go to the gym. You go to the gym, force yourself through a workout, action, see the weights you lifted or the distance you ran, result, and on the way home, you feel a sense of pride and energy, motivation, to do it again. Waiting for motivation is a declaration that your feelings are in charge of your life. Today, you take charge back. How action forges feeling. The idea that you can act without feeling like it seems counterintuitive, like trying to drive a car with an empty gas tank. But your mind isn't a gas tank. It's a chemical factory. And you are the factory manager. You can create the feelings you need by giving the factory the right instructions. The instruction is action. Here's how it works. 1. The feedback loop of the small win. Your brain is a simple machine in some ways. It is wired to repeat behaviors that lead to rewards. When you tell yourself you need to write the report or clean the entire house, the task is so large that your brain anticipates a huge, delayed effort with no immediate reward. It balks. It seeks a distraction that offers a quick, easy reward, like checking your email or scrolling social media. But when you take a tiny, physical action, when you follow the 2-minute rule we'll discuss later and just open the document and write the title, or put one dish in the dishwasher, you have completed a task. It's a small win, but it's a win nonetheless. Your brain releases a minuscule amount of dopamine. It's not a rush of euphoria, it's a quiet chemical signal that says, that was a productive behavior. We have moved from a state of inaction to a state of action. This is good. That tiny hit of dopamine is the spark. It makes the next small action slightly easier. And the next. This is the momentum we've been talking about. It's not a mystical force, it's a biochemical feedback loop that you can trigger on command, simply by starting. Action is the flint striking the steel. Motivation is the spark you create. 2. Casting a vote for your identity. There is a deeper, more powerful force at play here. Your actions don't just produce results, they shape your identity. Your brain constantly updates its sense of self based on the evidence you provide it. Every time you choose to procrastinate, you are casting a vote. I am the kind of person who puts things off. Every time you follow through, you are casting a vote. I am the kind of person who does what they say they will do. You don't think your way into becoming a disciplined person. You act your way into it. When you've gone to the gym 3 times in a week, even when you didn't feel like it, your brain starts to update your identity. You're no longer just someone trying to get fit, you are becoming someone who is fit. You are a person who works out. And guess what? People are motivated to act in accordance with their identity. Once you believe you are a writer, sitting down to write feels natural. Once you believe you are a runner, putting on your shoes is part of who you are. The ultimate trick is not to wait for motivation to act, but to act until you become the kind of person for whom the action is second nature. If you observe any elite performer, an athlete, an artist, a scientist, a CEO, you will find a common thread that has almost nothing to do with their level of daily motivation. They are not more passionate or inspired than you are. They are simply better at ignoring how they feel. They have decoupled their actions from their emotions. They have a process, and they trust the process more than they trust their feelings. The writer's quota: a professional author doesn't sit around waiting for the muse to whisper sweet nothings in their ear. They have a schedule. They have a quota. It might be 1,000 words a day. It might be 2 pages a day. It doesn't matter. The rule is simple: they sit in the chair and do the work. Some days, the words flow like water, and they write 2,000 words of pure gold. Those are the days they feel motivated. Other days, every sentence is a struggle. They write 1,000 words of complete garbage and want to throw their laptop out the window. Those are the days they feel nothing. But to the professional, both days are identical. Both are successful days. Why? Because they hit the quota. They showed up. They honor the process. They know that the garbage draft can be edited into something passable, but a blank page can never be. They don't wait to feel creative, they understand that the act of writing is what creates the opportunity for creativity. The athlete's schedule: do you think an Olympic swimmer wakes up at 4:30 a.m. on a dark Tuesday in February and feels a burning passion to jump into a freezing cold pool? Do you think a world-class weightlifter feels excited to squat a heavy barbell when their muscles are aching and they've had a poor night's sleep? Of course not. They feel tired. They feel sore. They feel like hitting the snooze button, just like you. The difference is that their feelings are irrelevant. The decision has already been made. The schedule says 4:30 a.m., pool. The program says Tuesday, squats. They subordinate their momentary feelings to the discipline of the schedule. Their commitment is not to a feeling, but to a process. They know that championships are not won on the days you feel great. They are won on the days you show up when you feel awful. They act first, and the feeling of accomplishment, the motivation, comes after the work is done. Building your action engine. So, how do you do it? How do you build a life where action is the default, regardless of your mood? You build an engine. A simple, reliable engine that runs on process, not passion. Here are the core components. 1. Obey the 2-minute rule. This rule, popularized by David Allen, has 2 parts. Part A: if a task appears that will take less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. Don't write it down, don't schedule it, don't think about it. Just do it. Sending a confirmation email, putting a tool back where it belongs, answering a simple text. This trains your brain to transition from thought to action instantly, building the habit of execution. Part B: for larger goals, shrink the starting point until it takes less than 2 minutes. The goal is not to finish the task, but simply to start it. Read a book every week becomes read 1 page. Run 3 times a week becomes put on my running clothes and shoes. Write a book becomes open the document and write 1 sentence. The secret is that the inertia is all at the beginning. Once you've read 1 page, it's easy to read another. Once you have your running shoes on, you might as well go outside. The 2-minute start is a gateway drug to real productivity. 2. Ritualize the beginning. High performers use rituals to automate the start of their work. A ritual is a predefined sequence of actions that signals to your brain that it's time to shift into work mode. It's a trigger that bypasses the need for an emotional debate. A writer might have a ritual of making a specific type of coffee, sitting at their desk, and opening their manuscript file. A programmer might put on noise-canceling headphones and open their coding environment. A salesperson might review their call list and take 3 deep breaths before dialing the first number. The ritual itself doesn't matter. What matters is its consistency. It's a ramp that gently guides you into a state of action, removing the friction and the decision-making from the first few, most difficult minutes. Define your ritual. Make it simple. And follow it religiously. 3. Track your actions, not your feelings. Get a calendar and a big red marker. For every day you stick to your process, every day you write your one sentence, put on your running shoes, or make one sales call, put a big X on that day. Your goal is not to feel good. Your goal is not to achieve a massive breakthrough. Your only goal is to not break the chain. This simple visual is profoundly powerful. On days you don't feel like it, you will look at your chain of 12 consecutive XS, and the pain of breaking that chain will be greater than the pain of doing the work. You are creating your own motivation. This chain is tangible proof of your new identity. It's a monument to your discipline. When you stop chasing the manic, fleeting high of motivation and start building your engine of action, something remarkable happens. A new kind of energy emerges. It's not the frantic energy of inspiration. It's not the jittery energy of caffeine. It's the calm, quiet, powerful energy of self-trust. It's the feeling of knowing that when you decide to do something, it gets done. It's the confidence that comes from having a history of keeping promises to yourself. This kind of trust is the bedrock of real progress. It's a deep, internal stability that can withstand the storms of bad moods, lazy days, and unexpected setbacks. You no longer need to feel good to perform, because you have a system that performs for you. You become predictable to yourself in the best possible way. The question is no longer, will I feel like it today? The question is, what does the process require of me today? The lie of motivation tells you that you are a slave to your emotions. The truth of action proves that you are their master. You can't control how you feel. But you can always control what you do. Motivation is for amateurs who wait for the perfect wave. Professionals learn how to paddle. Today, you stop waiting for the wave. You pick up your paddle. You take a stroke. Then another. The shore will appear in time. Chapter 3. Discipline isn't enough. You need accountability. You're doing it. You've embraced the messy start. You've rejected the lie of motivation. You're building your chain of XS on the calendar, acting your way into a new identity, one disciplined day at a time. For a week, maybe 2, you feel invincible. The engine is running strong. Then comes day 17. Day 17 is a Tuesday. It's raining. You slept poorly. A client sent a rude email that's rattling around in your head. The initial excitement of your new routine has worn off, replaced by the dull, monotonous reality of the work itself. Your discipline, which felt like an unbreakable iron rod just last week, now feels like a wet noodle. The voice in your head isn't just whispering anymore, it's making a very compelling, logical case for taking the day off. You've been so good, it says. One day won't hurt. You've earned a break. You can start again tomorrow. And in that moment, with no one watching and your willpower reserves running on empty, you break the chain. This is the most critical point of failure. It's the point where good intentions and newfound discipline go to die. Because we've been sold another lie, that discipline is all you need. That if you just had more grit, more willpower, more inner strength, you would never falter. That is nonsense. Discipline is a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets fatigued. Some days, it will be strong. Other days, it will fail you completely. Relying on discipline alone to achieve long-term goals is like trying to navigate the ocean with a strong pair of arms but no compass and no rudder. You'll swim hard, but you'll end up lost. This is where the real professionals separate themselves from the amateurs. They understand the brutal truth: discipline sets the course. Accountability keeps you on track. Discipline is your hand on the steering wheel, pointed toward your destination. It's the internal resolve to move forward. Accountability is the system of guardrails on the side of the road that prevents you from driving into a ditch when you momentarily fall asleep at the wheel. It's the GPS that screams, recalculating, when you take a wrong turn. Discipline is what you do. Accountability is the structure that ensures it gets done, especially on the days you don't want to do it. The silent failure of empty systems. Think back to the graveyard of good intentions we talked about in the introduction. The empty planner. The unused to-do list app. The abandoned project management board. Why did these systems fail? You set them up with discipline and good intentions. You designed a perfect system. The reason they now lie dormant is that they were missing one crucial component: a feedback loop. They were write-only systems. You spent hours putting information in, your goals, your tasks, your dreams. But you likely had no mandatory process for pulling information out, for reviewing your performance, confronting your failures, and adjusting your course. Without a feedback loop, a system is just a suggestion box. It has no teeth. It cannot hold you to account. Accountability is the engine of that feedback loop. It is the non-negotiable, scheduled process of measuring your actions against your intentions. It's the moment of truth where you are forced to look in the mirror and answer the simple question: did I do what I said I would do? Imagine a business. The leadership team creates a brilliant sales plan with ambitious quarterly targets. They distribute the plan to the sales team, and then, nothing. They never check the weekly sales numbers. They never hold meetings to discuss what's working and what isn't. They just trust that the sales team is disciplined enough to execute the plan. That business would be bankrupt in 6 months. Yet, this is exactly how we run our own lives. We create goals, the sales plan, and then rely on our own fleeting discipline to execute them, without ever formally checking the numbers. An unreviewed goal is just a wish. Accountability is what turns that wish into a project plan. It's the mandatory weekly meeting with the most important employee in your life, yourself. Forging internal accountability: you are the CEO. Before you can be accountable to anyone else, you must be accountable to yourself. This isn't about guilt or shame, it's about treating your life and goals with the same respect and strategic oversight that a CEO gives their company. You are the CEO of You Incorporated. It's time to start acting like it. Here are 2 non-negotiable systems to build your internal accountability structure. 1. The weekly CEO meeting. This is the most powerful 20-minute block on your calendar. Schedule it now. I suggest Sunday evening, as it allows you to close out the previous week and plan the next. This meeting is mandatory. It is not optional. It does not get moved because you are too busy. During this meeting, you open a document or a notebook and answer 3 questions, with brutal honesty. Question 1. What did I say I would do this week? Review your intentions. Look back at last week's plan. What were the key tasks and objectives? Question 2. What did I actually do? Review your actions. Compare your actions to your intentions. Where did you succeed? Where did you fall short? Be specific. Don't say I didn't work out enough. Say I plan to work out 3 times. I worked out 1 time. This isn't about judgment, it's about data. Question 3. Why was there a gap, and what is my plan to close it next week? Adjust your strategy. This is the crucial step. Did you overschedule? Was the task harder than you thought? Were you just lazy? Identify the root cause, and create a concrete, actionable plan for the upcoming week. Next week, I will schedule my 3 workouts on my calendar as specific appointments and lay my clothes out the night before. This simple ritual transforms you from a passive victim of your week into an active, strategic CEO. 2. Track your KPIs, key performance indicators. A CEO manages by the numbers. You should too. Go beyond just putting an X on the calendar. Identify 1 or 2 key metrics that represent real progress toward your most important goal. If you're a writer, your KPI is words written per day. If you're in sales, your KPI is prospecting calls made. If you're getting fit, your KPI is workouts completed or kilometers run. If you're learning a skill, your KPI is minutes of deliberate practice. Track this number every single day in a simple spreadsheet or notebook. The number doesn't lie. It tells you the objective truth of your effort. When your feelings say, "I had an unproductive week," your KPI chart might show you that you actually hit your numbers 4 out of 5 days. It provides objective data that silences emotional distortion. What gets measured gets managed. The accelerator, using other people. Internal accountability is the foundation, but if you want to pour rocket fuel on your progress, you need to leverage the most powerful accountability force on the planet, other people. We are social creatures, biologically wired to care about our reputation and our commitments to the tribe. You can hijack this feature of your psychology and use it to your advantage. 1. The accountability partner, the right way. This is the most common form of external accountability, and it usually fails. It fails because it's unstructured and evolves into a therapy session where you both complain and let each other off the hook. Here's how to do it right. It's a business meeting, not a coffee chat. The purpose is not to talk about your feelings. The purpose is to report the numbers. Keep it short and specific. Schedule a daily 5-minute check-in via text, Slack, or a quick call. The script is simple. You each answer 2 things. Did you do the number 1 thing you said you'd do yesterday? Yes/no. And what is your number 1 thing today? That's it. No excuses, no stories. Choose respect over friendship. Pick someone whose opinion you respect and who you don't want to disappoint. A slightly intimidating mentor is often better than a comforting best friend. 2. Put skin in the game, the power of stakes. This method is for those who need a bigger stick. It involves creating a tangible consequence for failure. Financial stakes. Use a service like StickK or BeMinder, or make a simple pact with a friend. The contract is, if I fail to complete my weekly KPI, I will immediately send $50 to a friend, a charity, or, most powerfully, an organization you actively oppose. Your brain's natural loss aversion will kick in. The pain of losing $50, especially to a cause you hate, will often be far greater than the pain of doing the work. Social stakes. Go public with your goal. Post on social media, tell your family, announce it to your team at work. State your intention and your timeline clearly. For example, I am running my first 10K race on December 1st. I'll be posting my training updates here every Friday. The fear of public failure and looking foolish can be an incredible source of fuel on days when your internal drive is gone. These methods work because they create a consequence for an action that is more immediate and painful than the long-term, abstract consequence of not reaching your goals. The unbreakable structure. Let's put it all together. Discipline is your internal, personal commitment. It's the fire within. But on some days, the fire burns low. Accountability is the structure you build around that fire. It's the fire pit that contains the embers and allows them to be reignited. It's the bellows that you can use to force air onto the coals when the flame is weak. One without the other is incomplete. Discipline without accountability is a burst of intense effort that eventually fizzles out. It's the New Year's resolution that's abandoned by February. Accountability without discipline is an empty chore. It's going through the motions of reporting your failure without the internal drive to fix it. But when you combine them, you create an unbreakable system for progress. Your internal discipline drives you on the good days. Your accountability structure catches you and pulls you forward on the bad days. This is how sustained progress is made. It's not about being a superhero of willpower. It's about being an intelligent architect of systems that work even when you don't feel like it. Your feelings are not reliable, Chapter 2. And your willpower is not infinite, Chapter 3. Therefore, you must build something you can rely on. A structure. A system. A non-negotiable appointment with reality. Your task for this week is simple. Choose one of the accountability methods from this chapter and implement it. Schedule your first weekly CEO meeting. Find an accountability partner and set up your 5-minute daily check-in. Write a check for $20 to a friend, to be cashed only if you fail to hit your goal this week. Discipline is what you do when you feel inspired. Accountability is what gets the work done long after that inspiration has faded. Who are you reporting to this week? Chapter 4. Clarity trumps everything. You've built the engine. You have discipline, Chapter 2, and an accountability structure, Chapter 3. You sit down at your desk for your scheduled CEO meeting, ready to plan your week. You are committed. You are accountable. You are ready to work. And then, nothing happens. A paralyzing fog rolls into your mind. 100 different tasks, worries, and ideas all start shouting for your attention at once. I need to finish that presentation for work. But first, I should probably clear out my inbox. Actually, that new project needs a proper plan before I do anything else. I forgot to call the plumber about the leaky sink. And I still haven't started on my personal goal of learning to code. You are frozen. Trapped in the fog of should. You have the engine of a race car, but you're sitting in the driver's seat with no map, no compass, and a dozen people shouting contradictory directions at you. So what do? You do what we all do. You choose the easiest, most familiar road. You open your email and spend the next hour doing low-value, reactive work. It feels busy, but it's not productive. You're just spinning your wheels in the fog. This paralysis is not a failure of discipline. It's a failure of clarity. Welcome to the hidden handbrake on your productivity. We spend so much time trying to work harder, but we rarely spend time getting clear on what we should be working on in the first place. The raw truth is this: clarity trumps everything. A mediocre plan executed with absolute, laser-like clarity will always outperform a brilliant plan executed in a state of confusion. A person with average discipline who knows exactly what their next action is will run circles around a willpower superhero who is wrestling with 10 different priorities. Confusion kills action. It drains your energy. It makes you feel overwhelmed and incompetent. Clarity, on the other hand, creates movement. It channels your energy. It makes you feel powerful and decisive. This chapter is about learning how to manufacture that clarity on demand. The crippling cost of indecision. Indecision is the chief symptom of confusion. We think of it as a passive state of not yet deciding, but that's dangerously wrong. Indecision is an active process of mental self-destruction. It is the silent killer of productivity. Every moment you spend debating between options is a moment you are not executing. Every ounce of mental energy you burn weighing the pros and cons of task A versus task B is energy that is stolen from actually completing task A or task B. This is the concept of decision fatigue. The more choices you are forced to make, the more your ability to make good choices deteriorates. When you start your day in a fog of confusion, you are draining your decision-making battery on trivial questions before you even get to the important work. Should I check email first or work on the report? Should I get coffee now or later? Which task on this giant to-do list is the most important? By the time 10 a.m. rolls around, your brain is already tired, and it defaults to the path of least resistance: more distraction, more procrastination. But there's a deeper, more insidious reason we allow ourselves to remain confused. Indecision is a form of hiding. Clarity is dangerous. Clarity means you know exactly what difficult thing you need to do next. Clarity means there are no more excuses. If you know that your next physical action is to pick up the phone and make a difficult sales call, you can no longer hide behind the excuse of "I need to organize my CRM first." If you know your next step is to write 500 words of your first chapter, you can no longer hide behind "I'm still researching the plot." Confusion is comfortable. It feels safe. It allows you to live in the world of infinite, perfect potential, rather than the messy, imperfect world of real-world action. Saying "I'm still figuring things out" sounds strategic and thoughtful. But more often than not, it's just a sophisticated way of saying "I'm scared to start." Productivity isn't about making 1,000 decisions. It's about making a few important decisions up front so that you can free up all your mental energy for execution. The clarity funnel, your machine for action. To defeat confusion, you need a system. A simple, repeatable process that takes your vague, overwhelming goals and transforms them into a single, clear, actionable next step. I call it the clarity funnel. It has 3 stages. Stage 1, the destination. Define a measurable goal. Your brain cannot lock onto a vague target. Get healthy or grow the business are wishes, not goals. You must give your brain a specific, measurable destination. A simple formula is verb plus noun plus number. Vague wish. Clear goal, verb plus noun plus number. Get in shape. Run 5 kilometers without stopping by October 1st. Write a book. Finish a 50,000-word first draft by the end of the year. Be a better parent. Spend 30 minutes of phone-free, one-on-one time with my child each day. Export to Sheets. This isn't just semantics. A clear goal allows your brain to subconsciously filter opportunities and prioritize actions that move you toward that specific outcome. Stage 2, the one thing. Define the immediate priority. You cannot work on your entire goal at once. To try is to guarantee you'll be overwhelmed. You must ruthlessly prioritize. Ask yourself this powerful question. What is the one thing I can do this week such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? This question forces you to identify the lead domino. For your goal of running 5K, the one thing this week isn't to research shoes or supplements, it's likely to complete 3 20-minute introductory jogs. For finishing your book draft, the one thing might be to outline the first 3 chapters. This gives you a clear focus for the entire week, cutting through the noise of 100 other shoulds. Stage 3, the first domino. Define the next physical action. This is the final and most crucial stage of the funnel. It bridges the chasm between planning and doing. A priority like complete 3 jogs is still too big to act on right now. You must break it down to its smallest, most immediate physical component. Ask, what is the absolute next physical action required to begin? It's not go for a jog. It's put on my running shorts, shirt, and shoes. It's not write chapter 1. It's open a new document and type the chapter title. It's not make sales calls. It's open the CRM and click on the first phone number. This first domino action should be so laughably small that you cannot possibly fail. It requires almost no motivation and overcomes all resistance. This is your point of entry. This is your clarity. Practical tools for instant clarity. The clarity funnel is your strategic system. But what about the daily tactical battle against the fog of being overwhelmed? Here are 3 simple, powerful tools you can use in under 10 minutes to cut through confusion. Tool 1, the brain dump. When your mind feels like a browser with 100 tabs open, you need to clear the cache. Grab a blank piece of paper and a pen. Set a timer for 10 minutes. For those 10 minutes, you have one job: write down every single thing that is on your mind. Every task, every worry, every half-baked idea, every personal errand, every I should, get it all out. Don't judge, don't organize, don't filter. Just dump it all onto the page. This simple act does 2 things. First, it frees up immense mental bandwidth. Your brain is no longer wasting energy trying to hold on to all these open loops. Second, it externalizes your thoughts, allowing you to look at them objectively instead of being drowned by them. Tool 2, the rule of 3. You cannot do 20 things in a day. The attempt to do so is a recipe for mediocrity and burnout. After you've done a brain dump, or at the start of any workday, ask yourself a simple question. If today were over and I could only have accomplished 3 things, what would make me feel most successful? Identify those 3 items. Write them on a small sticky note and place it on your computer monitor or desk. This is your real to-do list for the day. Everything else is secondary. This forces you to differentiate between being busy and being productive. When you feel yourself getting pulled into the weeds of email or busy work, the sticky note is your anchor, reminding you of what truly matters. Tool 3. The 5-minute if-then plan. We often procrastinate on a task not because it's hard, but because we're uncertain about how to handle a potential obstacle. You can eliminate this uncertainty with a quick if-then plan. For any task you are avoiding, take 5 minutes to think about the most likely friction point. Then, create a rule for how you will respond. Task: write the project proposal. Friction point: what if I get stuck on the budget section? If-then plan: if I get stuck on the budget, then I will write, insert budget later, in red text and immediately move to the next section. Task: call a difficult client. Friction point: what if they bring up the mistake we made last month? If-then plan: if they bring up the mistake, then I will use my pre-written apology script and pivot to the solution. This simple plan removes future indecision, turning a potential roadblock into a simple, pre-decided detour. The freedom of a clear target. We think of clarity as restrictive, as if having a clear plan boxes us in. The opposite is true. Confusion is the real prison. It's a cage built of anxiety, doubt, and indecision. Clarity is freedom. When you have absolute, undeniable clarity on what matters most and what your very next action is, you are liberated. You are freed from the constant, exhausting mental debate of what to do next. All of your willpower, discipline, and energy can be channeled into a single point of focused execution. There is no wasted motion, no decision fatigue. There is only movement. This state of clarity is not a gift from the heavens. It does not strike like lightning. It is manufactured. It is the result of a deliberate, active process of asking hard questions, making decisions, and defining your reality. Confusion is the passive default. Clarity is the active choice of a professional. You do not have a discipline problem. You do not have a motivation problem. You have a clarity problem. You are trying to fight a battle in a thick fog, swinging at shadows. It's time to turn on the floodlights. Your assignment is right here, right now. Grab a pen and paper. Do a 10-minute brain dump. Get it all out. Circle your single most important goal. Rewrite it using the verb plus noun plus number formula. Define your one thing for this coming week. Identify the first domino, the tiny physical action to start. Stop using your brilliant mind as a messy storage unit for your anxieties. Use it as a factory for execution. You don't need to be more disciplined. You need a clearer target. It's time to aim. Chapter 5: Execution over Planning. You've done the work. You've used the clarity funnel from the last chapter to forge a clear, actionable plan. You know your destination, your priority for the week, and the tiny first domino you need to push. You look at your plan, your color-coded spreadsheet, your neatly organized project board, your detailed outline. It is a thing of beauty. It is perfect. You feel a surge of control and accomplishment. And right there, you have stumbled into the final, most seductive trap of all. The feeling you're experiencing, that warm glow of organization and readiness, is an addiction. Planning, organizing, and strategizing can become a highly sophisticated form of procrastination. It feels exactly like productive work, but it produces zero real-world results. It's a safe, clean, theoretical exercise that protects you from a messy, unpredictable, and often painful reality. This is the final battle you must win. It's the battle between the comfort of the blueprint and the chaos of the construction site. It's the choice between staying in the locker room studying the playbook or getting onto the field to actually play the game. The final, most important truth of this book is this: execution trumps planning, every single time. The world does not reward you for your brilliant plans, it rewards you for your finished work. A flawed product that is launched is infinitely more valuable than a perfect product that exists only on a hard drive. A clumsy sales pitch delivered to a real client is worth 1,000 perfect scripts that are never spoken. An average blog post that is published is better than a literary masterpiece that never leaves your drafts folder. Planning is the architect in a clean, quiet office, drawing flawless lines on a piece of paper. Execution is the construction crew in the mud, laying bricks in the freezing rain. One feels safe and intellectual. The other is difficult, dirty, and real. Guess which one builds the skyscraper? The warm cocoon of analysis paralysis. If execution is so important, why do we avoid it? Why do we spend weeks planning a project that should only take a few days? Why do we read 5 books on a subject instead of just trying the thing? The answer is simple: fear. Over-preparing is a defense mechanism. Planning is a warm, safe cocoon we weave around ourselves to avoid confronting the harsh realities of doing. 1. The fear of judgment. As long as your project is in the planning phase, it is perfect. It is safe. It cannot be criticized, rejected, or ignored. In your mind, your business idea is revolutionary, your novel is a bestseller, and your presentation is a work of genius. The moment you execute, the moment you launch the website, send the manuscript, or give the speech, you expose your work to reality. You invite judgment. Your brilliant idea might be met with indifference. Your manuscript might get rejected. Your speech might fall flat. Execution is an act of vulnerability. Over-planning is an attempt to build an impenetrable suit of armor before stepping into the arena. But that suit becomes so heavy that you can never actually step through the gates. 2. The fear of the unknown. Planning creates a powerful illusion of control. By trying to anticipate every possible obstacle and map out every step from start to finish, we feel like we've tamed the future. But the future is wild and unpredictable. Your plan will break the moment it makes contact with reality. A key person will get sick, a technology will fail, the market will shift. Over-planning is an attempt to eliminate risk from a fundamentally risky endeavor. We get stuck in analysis paralysis because we're trying to find the one perfect path that has no obstacles. Such a path does not exist. The real path is forged by taking a step, seeing where you land, and then adjusting your course. 3. The addiction to preparation. There's a sneaky dopamine hit that comes from getting ready. Buying the new software, creating the intricate spreadsheet, or color-coding your notes all feel like progress. Your brain rewards you for these small acts of organization. It's easy to become addicted to this feeling of preparation because it carries none of the risks of actual execution. It's a cheap substitute for the feeling of real accomplishment. You can spend a whole day organizing your workflow and feel exhausted and productive, without having moved your actual project forward by a single inch. It's the most socially acceptable form of hiding. The ship it mindset, your bias toward action. To break free from the paralysis of planning, you must adopt the mindset of a doer, not a thinker. In the world of software development, this is called the ship it mindset. It means your primary goal is to get your product, your work, out the door and into the hands of users. Not when it's perfect, but when it's functional. This mindset is built on 2 core principles. Principle 1, the 70% rule. There's a rule of thumb used by military leaders and top executives like Jeff Bezos. It states that if you have 70% of the information you wish you had, you should make the decision and act. If you wait until you have 90% or 100% of the information, you are almost certainly too late. Your competitor has already acted, the opportunity has passed, or the situation has changed. Apply this to your own work. Do you have 70% of the plan you need? Is your presentation 70% ready? Is your proposal 70% good? Ship it. You will learn more from the real-world feedback on your 70% solution than you ever could by spending another 3 weeks polishing it to 90%. This isn't an excuse for sloppy work, it's a strategy for rapid progress in an uncertain world. Principle 2, version 1.0 is better than version 0.0. No great creation springs forth fully formed and perfect. Everything is built in iterations. The goal is never to create the final, perfect version on the first try. The goal is to create version 1.0. Version 1.0 is the first draft. It's the minimum viable product. It's the messy, flawed, but real version of your idea. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, famously said, if you are not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. Let that sink in. The goal is to move so fast that you look back on your initial work and cringe a little. That cringe is the feeling of progress. It means you've learned and improved. The person who is still planning their perfect version 1.0 has learned nothing, because they have produced nothing. They are still at version 0.0, which is functionally identical to a fantasy. How to execute, practical frameworks for doing. Adopting a new mindset is great, but you need practical, repeatable behaviors to make it stick. Here are 3 simple frameworks to force you out of planning mode and into execution mode. 1. Time box your planning. Planning, if left unchecked, will expand to fill all available time. You must put it in a cage. For any new project or goal, give yourself a strict, non-negotiable deadline for the planning phase. I will spend exactly 2 hours researching and outlining this report. At the 2-hour mark, I will begin writing, no matter what. I will give myself until Wednesday to plan the marketing launch. On Thursday morning, we start executing the plan we have, not the plan we wish we had. This forces you to focus on creating a good enough plan. It kills perfectionism by making it impossible. The deadline becomes the trigger that shifts you from thinking to doing. 2. The do it, then document it method. The traditional model is plan, then do. For many complex or creative projects, it's more effective to flip this on its head, do, then document. Instead of trying to map out a perfect process in advance, just start. Take the first logical step. Then, after you've done it, document what you did and what you learned. Take the next step. Document it. This is like exploring a new territory and drawing the map as you go. You are creating the plan based on the reality of the work, not on a fantasy of how the work should go. This approach is perfect for tasks filled with uncertainty, as it allows you to be flexible and adapt as you learn. 3. The feedback loop is your compass. The most valuable information you will ever get does not come from research, it comes from reality. You must reframe execution as the fastest method of learning. Sending the sales proposal isn't just about trying to get the sale, it's about learning what this client truly values. Publishing the blog post isn't just about getting readers, it's about seeing which ideas resonate and which don't. Launching the simple, one-page website isn't about getting 1 million customers, it's about testing if anyone is interested in your offer. Every time you ship a piece of work, you get back a piece of data. This real-world feedback is your compass. It tells you where to go next. It's far more accurate and valuable than any plan you could create in a vacuum. Stop thinking of execution as the final step. Think of it as the first step in the cycle of improvement. Execute, get feedback, iterate, execute again. The arena is calling. This book began with a simple premise: nothing works if you don't. We've journeyed through the entire philosophy of doing. You learn to stop waiting for perfect conditions and start messy. Chapter 1. You learn that motivation is a lie and that action creates its own energy. Chapter 2. You learn that discipline isn't enough and that you need accountability to keep you on track. Chapter 3. You learn that clarity trumps everything, and how to define your exact next step. Chapter 4. And now, this final chapter brings you to the last command. All the mindset shifts, systems, and structures lead to this single point. It is the threshold between the person you are and the person you want to become. It is the line between thinking and doing. Theodore Roosevelt said it best in his famous Man in the Arena speech. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds. Planning keeps you clean. It keeps you safe in the stands, where you can be a critic of your own potential. But the credit, the progress, and the rewards do not exist in the stands. They exist only in the arena. Your ideas are worthless until you act on them. Your potential is a ghost until you give it form through your work. The blueprint is not the building. The map is not the territory. The playbook is not the victory. The time for preparation is over. The time for learning more is over. The time for one more revision is over. Close this book. Look at the clear, simple, first domino action you defined in the last chapter. The arena is calling. Go. Execute. Chapter 6. Your environment shapes your behavior. You have the full toolkit. You're starting messy, acting without motivation, holding yourself accountable with ruthless consistency, creating crystal clear plans, and executing them with a bias for action. You are a finely tuned engine of productivity. You sit down at your clean desk, ready to tackle your single most important task for the day. You open your laptop. And then it happens. A notification banner slides down from the top right of your screen. New email. Your phone, lying face up next to your keyboard, buzzes. A text from a friend. A browser bookmark for your favorite news site catches your eye. You tell yourself, I'll just check it for a second. It's important. 25 minutes later, you snap back to reality. You've replied to 3 non-urgent emails, gotten into a pointless debate in a group chat, and are now deep in an article about a celebrity you don't even care about. Your focus is shattered. Your momentum is gone. The most productive hour of your day has been squandered. What happened? Was it a failure of discipline? A lapse in focus? No. It was a failure of design. Your environment, the physical and digital space you inhabit, is not a neutral backdrop. It is an active participant in your life. It is constantly sending you cues, suggestions, and temptations. It is either pushing you toward your goals or pulling you away from them. There is no in-between. This brings us to a truth that can be more powerful than all the discipline you can muster. Your environment either supports your best self, or it actively sabotages it. We spend all our time trying to upgrade our willpower, focus, and motivation, our internal software. We rarely, if ever, stop to upgrade the hardware we're running on, our surroundings. The greatest secret of high performers isn't that they have superhuman discipline. It's that they have engineered their environments to make discipline almost irrelevant. They don't fight temptation, they remove it. This chapter is about stopping the fight and starting to design. It's about becoming an architect of your own focus. The willpower fallacy. We've been taught to see willpower as a virtue. The person who can resist the cookie, ignore the notification, and power through distraction is seen as strong. The person who gives in is seen as weak. This is a fundamentally flawed and unfair way to look at the world. Your daily struggle for focus is not a fair fight. Let's look at the two opponents. In one corner, there is your willpower. It is a finite, biological resource. Like a muscle, it gets tired the more you use it. It is easily depleted by stress, poor sleep, hunger, and decision fatigue. It is a flickering candle in the wind. In the other corner, there is your environment, particularly your digital environment. It has been designed by thousands of the world's most brilliant engineers, behavioral psychologists, and data scientists. Their combined salary is in the billions. Their single, unifying goal is to capture and hold your attention for as long as possible. They use intermittent variable rewards, social validation loops, and infinitely scrolling feeds to make their products as addictive as a slot machine. You are not fighting a notification. You are fighting a billion-dollar industry. To believe that you can win this battle through sheer willpower day after day is profoundly arrogant and naive. You will lose. You will get tired, you will get distracted, and you will give in. It is inevitable. The only winning move is to refuse to fight. A recovering alcoholic doesn't demonstrate their strength by spending 8 hours a day in a bar, successfully resisting the urge to drink. That's a fool's game. They demonstrate their intelligence by never setting foot in the bar in the first place. They understand that willpower is a last resort, not a first line of defense. Their primary strategy is to control their environment. You must treat distractions with the same life or death seriousness. Your phone, with its endless stream of temptations, is the bar. Your messy desk, covered in unresolved tasks, is the bar. Your open browser tabs are the bar. Willpower isn't the answer. Changing your surroundings is. Architect of your physical space. Your brain makes decisions based on the cues it receives from your physical world. The easiest way to change your behavior is to change those cues. The principles are simple: make good habits easy and visible, and make bad habits difficult and invisible. Principle 1. Increase the friction for bad habits. Friction is the amount of effort required to perform an action. To stop a bad habit, you don't need to eliminate it, you just need to add a few steps of friction. To stop mindless snacking, don't keep junk food in the house. The friction of having to get dressed, drive to the store, and make a purchase is often enough to kill the impulse. To stop watching too much TV, after you're done watching, unplug the TV from the wall and put the remote in a drawer in another room. The next time you feel the urge to watch, the small but significant effort of plugging it in and finding the remote will force you to make a conscious choice. Do I really want to watch this? To stop hitting the snooze button, move your alarm clock or phone to the other side of the room. The friction of having to physically get out of bed to turn it off makes it far more likely you'll stay out of bed. Principle 2. Decrease the friction for good habits. Conversely, you must engineer your environment so that the path of least resistance leads directly to your desired behaviors. To start a gym habit, lay out your gym clothes, sneakers, water bottle, and keys the night before. When you wake up, the path to the gym is frictionless. The path to finding an excuse is filled with friction. To read more, don't just put a book on your bookshelf. Leave one on your pillow in the morning so it's the first thing you see at night. Put one next to the coffee maker. Put one in the bathroom. Make the book more convenient than your phone. To maintain focus, create a dedicated work-only space. This could be a specific desk, or even just a specific chair at the kitchen table. The rule is, when you are in this space, the only thing you do is your focused work. No browse, no eating, no calls. Your brain will build a powerful association, and simply sitting in that spot will trigger a state of focus. You are rigging the game in your own favor. You are making your desired self the easiest self to be. Taming your digital environment. If your physical space is a battlefield, your digital space is a war zone. This is where the most aggressive design is needed. The goal is to transform your devices from endlessly entertaining slot machines into boring, functional tools. Technique 1. The dull phone transformation. Your phone is the primary enemy of focus. Your mission is to make it as uninteresting as possible. Delete the addictions, remove every social media, news, and gaming app from your phone. Period. If you absolutely must check them, use the clunky mobile browser. The added friction will dramatically reduce your usage. Embrace silence. Go into your settings and turn off every single notification, banners, badges, sounds, except for phone calls and perhaps messages from your partner or kids. You will check your apps on your schedule, not when they demand your attention. Curate your home screen. Your home screen should contain tools, not temptations. Keep only utility apps on the first page: calendar, maps, notes, camera. Move every other app into a single folder on the second page. This forces a deliberate, conscious search for anything distracting. Go gray. This is the ultimate move. In your phone's accessibility settings, turn the screen to grayscale. A world without vibrant, rewarding colors is a world your brain is far less interested in. The red notification badges lose their power. The colorful app icons become bland. Your phone's addictive pull will weaken almost instantly. Technique 2. The focused computer setup. Your computer is your primary tool for creation. It must be defended with the same vigor. Install a blocker, use a tool like Freedom, Cold Turkey, or Stay Focused to block distracting websites during your designated work hours. There is no negotiating with the blocker. Create separate worlds. Create 2 user profiles on your computer, work and play. Your work profile has a clean desktop, no social media logins saved, and a different browser with no distracting bookmarks. Your play profile can have everything else. This separation creates a powerful psychological boundary. Practice digital minimalism. A cluttered desktop is a cluttered mind. Keep your digital workspace as clean as your physical one. Have a clear, simple filing system and close all tabs and applications that are not related to the single task you are working on. The path of least resistance. At our core, human beings are creatures of efficiency. We are biologically wired to follow the path of least resistance. For most of your life, that path has been designed by other people, by marketers who want you to buy, app developers who want your attention, and food scientists who want you to crave their products. Their path of least resistance leads you away from your goals. The entire philosophy of environmental design is to reclaim your power as an architect. It is the art of consciously and deliberately reshaping the paths in your life so that the easiest, most obvious, most frictionless option is the one that serves your future self. You are no longer trying to force yourself uphill against a landslide of distractions. Instead, you are carving a new channel, making focus and good habits the downhill path. You are making it easier to do the right thing than to do the wrong thing. The return on investment for this work is staggering. Spending 1 hour this weekend to redesign your physical and digital environments can save you hundreds of hours of lost time and depleted willpower over the next year. It is one of the highest leverage activities you can possibly perform. Your environment is not neutral. It is actively helping you or hurting you, every second of every day. It is the invisible hand that guides your choices when you aren't paying attention. So pay attention. Your final assignment for this chapter is not to try harder. It is to design smarter. Look at your desk and the room around you. Identify the single biggest physical distraction. Remove it or add friction to it. Pick up your phone. Identify the single biggest digital distraction. Delete the app, turn off its notifications, or switch your screen to grayscale. Do these 2 things before you go to sleep tonight. Stop fighting your environment. Start making it fight for you. Chapter 7: The Power of Starting Before You're Ready. Let's talk about the final psychological hurdle. You've cleared your space, designed your environment, and built your systems for discipline and accountability. You have a crystal clear plan for your next action. You are, by all objective measures, prepared. But a nagging feeling remains. A quiet, persistent voice in the back of your head whispers the most dangerous lie of all: I'm not ready yet. It's the aspiring consultant who says, I'll start my business once I get 1 more certification. It's the wannabe writer who says, I'll write my book once I've read everything on the subject. It's the future podcaster who says, I'll launch my show once I have the perfect microphone and 6 months of episodes banked. This feeling of not being ready feels like wisdom. It feels like responsible preparation. In reality, it is the most insidious form of fear. It's the fear of being judged, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of looking like an amateur. Waiting until you feel fully ready is a psychological trick you play on yourself to guarantee you will never have to start. Readiness is not a state you achieve, it is a feeling you chase. And for anyone pursuing a meaningful goal, it is a finish line that moves every time you take a step toward it. The more you learn, the more you become aware of what you don't know, and the less ready you feel. This chapter is about breaking that cycle with one of the most potent truths in this book. It is the mantra of doers, innovators, and creators everywhere. Done beats ready. Every single time. The world does not care about your readiness. It does not reward your preparation. It only rewards what you produce. The person who launches an imperfect product learns, improves, and succeeds, while the person who is still planning their perfect launch is left standing at the starting line, holding a flawless blueprint for a race they never ran. The tale of 2 paths, the planner and the doer. To understand the immense strategic power of starting before you're ready, let's imagine 2 people, Rebecca and Dave, who both have the same goal: to launch a new podcast about urban gardening. Path 1, Ready Rebecca. Rebecca is determined to do it the right way. She wants to be a professional from day 1. She spends the first month taking online courses on audio editing and marketing. In the second month, she researches and buys a top-of-the-line microphone and audio interface. In the third month, she hires a freelance designer to create the perfect logo and cover art. For months 4, 5, and 6, she painstakingly outlines her first 12 episodes, building a huge content buffer so she'll never fall behind. After 6 months of hard work, Rebecca feels almost ready. She has a professional setup, a beautiful brand, and a deep understanding of podcasting theory. She also has 0 episodes, 0 listeners, and 0 real-world experience. Path 2, Done Dave. Dave decides that done beats ready. On a Saturday morning, he watches a 20-minute tutorial on Audacity, a free audio editor. He records his first 15-minute episode about the 3 easiest herbs to grow on a balcony, using the built-in microphone on his headphones. The audio has a slight hum. He stumbles over his words twice. He uses a free online tool to put some simple text over a stock photo for his cover art. By Saturday afternoon, his podcast is submitted to Spotify and Apple. By Monday, it's live. His first episode gets 17 downloads, mostly from friends and family. But he also gets 2 comments from strangers. One says, "Great tips, but the audio hiss was really distracting." The other says, "I'd love to hear an episode on dealing with pests in small spaces." The unfair advantage. Who is in a better position? Rebecca has a perfect plan. Dave has an imperfect reality. Dave's mediocre, real-world product has given him 2 pieces of priceless information that Rebecca, with all her research, completely lacks. First, he knows his biggest technical problem is audio quality, not marketing, not cover art, not episode length. He now knows exactly where to focus his improvement efforts. Second, he has an idea for his next episode, handed to him directly by his target audience. While Rebecca is still in her theoretical cocoon, Dave has entered the most powerful engine for success that exists, the real-world feedback loop. He has momentum. He is learning by doing. He is already on the path to version 2.0 while Rebecca is still polishing the instruction manual for version 1.0. The strategic power of learning by doing. Dave's story isn't just about moving faster, it's about learning smarter. Starting before you are ready gives you 3 distinct strategic advantages that planners can never access. 1. You capture real-world data. You can spend months guessing what your customers, audience, or boss wants. You can run surveys, create personas, and analyze market trends. But all of this is theoretical. The only truth is found when your work makes contact with reality. Launching your minimum viable product, be it a service, a report, a video, or an article, is the fastest way to gather real, actionable data. Do people click on it? Do they use it? Do they complain? Do they ask for more? This feedback is worth more than 1,000 hours of isolated planning. It tells you exactly what to do next. Stop guessing what people want and start showing them something so they can tell you. 2. You forge durable skills. Reading a book about swimming will not teach you how to swim. You only learn how to swim by getting in the water, sputtering, flailing, and slowly figuring out how to coordinate your limbs. Professional skill is no different. You don't become a great writer by outlining, you become a great writer by writing, getting feedback, and rewriting. You don't become a great salesperson by studying scripts, you become one by making calls, getting rejected, and learning how to handle real-time objections. The friction of doing, the challenge of solving unexpected problems, and the sting of making public mistakes are what forge fragile knowledge into durable, real-world skill. 3. You build unstoppable momentum. Action creates a powerful psychological chain reaction. The moment Dave published his podcast, he became a podcaster. The moment you publish your first blog post, you become a writer. This shift in identity is profound. It moves you from the passive category of aspiring to the active category of doing. This initial, imperfect act of creation is the first domino. It makes the second act easier, and the third easier still. Soon, you have a body of work, a growing skill set, and a track record of execution. This is momentum. The person still waiting to be ready is stuck with a mountain of potential energy, but zero kinetic energy. They are standing still. Case studies in starting unready. This principle isn't just for hypothetical Daves and Rebeccas. It's how some of the most successful ventures in the world got their start. They didn't launch with a perfect, fully formed plan. They launched with a messy, unready idea and iterated their way to greatness. Case study, Instagram. Today, Instagram is a global giant, a masterclass in simple, intuitive design. But it didn't start that way. It started as a confusing, feature-bloated app called Bourbon. Bourbon was a location-based social network that included check-ins, plans for future check-ins, points, and, almost as an afterthought, photos. The founders, Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, weren't ready to build a world-changing photo-sharing app. They were just trying to build something. They launched the messy, unready Bourbon app and watched how people used it. They quickly noticed that while users ignored most of the complicated features, they loved the simple act of applying filters to their photos and sharing them. They had discovered the truth through action, not theory. So, they made a courageous decision. They took the data from their unready launch, cut away everything that wasn't working, and focused entirely on the one thing that was. The result was Instagram. Their imperfect start was not a setback, it was the entire reason for their success. Case study, the freelance graphic designer. Consider a recent design graduate. The ready path is to spend 3 months building the perfect online portfolio, agonizing over every pixel, trying to create a masterpiece of a website before they even have a single client. The done path is to spend 3 hours creating a simple, one-page PDF with their 3 best student projects. On that same day, they research 20 local small businesses and email the owners, saying, "Hello, I'm a new designer in the area. I love what you're doing. Here are a few examples of my work. I can design a professional flyer for your upcoming sale for just $100. Who gets a client first? Who starts building real-world experience first? Who gets a testimonial they can use to get the next client?" It's not the designer with the perfect, unseen portfolio. It's the one who was willing to start before they were ready. Your Launch It Challenge. We have come to the end of our journey through the core principles of doing. We've dismantled the lies of motivation, perfection, and planning. We are left with one final truth: the world belongs to those who do, not those who prepare. The feeling of being not ready is not a warning sign. It is the starting pistol for the race. You have a choice. You can spend the next year preparing, planning, and waiting for a feeling of confidence that may never arrive. Or you can spend the next 48 hours creating a messy, imperfect, but real version of your idea and join the ranks of the doers. This is your final challenge. It is the culmination of everything in this book. The Launch It Challenge. Identify the project. Pick one idea, one goal, one project that you have been keeping on the back burner because you aren't ready. Write it down. Define the minimum viable version. What is the absolute simplest, fastest, most stripped-down version of this project that you could get out the door? Not the version you dream of, but the version you can do right now. Set a 48-hour deadline. Look at the clock. Your deadline for launching this minimum viable version is exactly 48 hours from this moment. Not next week. Not this weekend. 48 hours. This means publishing the article, not just editing it. It means uploading the video, not just reshooting it. It means sending the proposal, not just polishing it. It means putting your work out into the world where it can live, breathe, and, most importantly, be judged. The planners will still be perfecting their strategy this time next year. The doers will be on version 5.0, learning from their mistakes and building on their successes. Stop preparing to become ready. Start doing to become ready. The time for waiting is over. Launch. Chapter 8, Show Up Even When It Sucks. For the past 7 chapters, we have been building a machine. You have a system for starting, for acting, for creating clarity, and for executing. You have engineered your environment and committed to launching your work into the world. You've had good days. You've felt the thrill of momentum. You feel like you can't be stopped. Then, you wake up on a Wednesday morning. You didn't sleep well. A project at work blew up yesterday, and the stress is sitting like a stone in your stomach. You feel a scratch in the back of your throat. You have zero energy, zero creativity, and even less desire to tackle the ambitious goals you set for yourself when you were feeling great. The thought of doing your most important work doesn't just feel difficult, it feels physically impossible. The voice in your head, the one that's been quiet for weeks, is back with a vengeance. Not today, it pleads. You feel awful. Just write this day off. Take a 0 day. You can be productive again tomorrow when you feel better. This is the moment of truth. This is the day that separates the amateur from the professional, the flash in the pan from the long-term success story. Because the real test of your productivity, your discipline, and your entire system isn't how you perform on your best day. It's how you show up on your worst. Anyone can be a superstar when they are well-rested, motivated, and inspired. Anyone can hit their goals when life is going smoothly. But life doesn't care about your plans. It will get in the way. Your energy will drop. Your mood will sour. Sickness, stress, and sheer exhaustion are not exceptions to the journey, they are a guaranteed, recurring part of it. And that's when winners win. Not by being superhuman, but by refusing to surrender the day completely. This chapter is about how to keep moving forward, even when every fiber of your being is screaming at you to stop. It's about learning to show up even when, especially when, it sucks. Redefining winning on a bad day. The biggest mistake people make on a bad day is trying to hold themselves to the same standard as a good day. They look at their ambitious to-do list, feel the immense gap between their energy levels and their expectations, and collapse under the weight of that gap. Paralyzed by the thought of falling short, they do nothing at all. This is a failure of strategy, not of character. You cannot expect A-game performance when you are running on a B-game, or C-game, battery. Trying to do so is like demanding your car go from 0 to 60 with an almost empty gas tank. You'll just stall the engine and end up feeling worse. To win on a bad day, you must first redefine the victory conditions. Winning on a bad day has nothing to do with peak performance. It has nothing to do with hitting your ambitious targets or creating your best work. Winning on a bad day comes down to one single, solitary goal. Do not take a 0 day. Do not break the chain. To do this, you need to operate a two-tiered system of goals. You need to give yourself a new, more compassionate target for when things go wrong. Your A-game goal, this is your standard, ambitious target. It's what you aim for on a normal day when you are feeling capable. Example, write 1,000 words. Example, go for a 5-kilometer run. Example, make 20 sales calls. Your B-game goal, that sucks goal, this is your predefined, absurdly small, bare minimum target that you are allowed to hit on a certified bad day. Its only purpose is to maintain momentum and keep your identity as a doer intact. Example, open the document and write 1 paragraph. Example, put on your running shoes and walk around the block once. Example, open your CRM and make 1 sales call. The rule is this: you always aim for the A-game goal. But you give yourself the grace and permission to declare a bad day, fall back to the B-game goal, and still count it as a win. You still get to put the X on your calendar. You still get to end the day knowing you kept the promise to yourself. This isn't a loophole, it's a pressure release valve. It's the strategy that keeps you in the game long enough to have good days again. The Bad Day Toolkit, how to just show up. Knowing you have a B-game goal is one thing. Actually summoning the will to do it is another. When you are truly in a slump, you need simple, mechanical tactics to get you over the activation energy barrier. Tactic 1, the 10-minute miracle. This is your go-to move when your resistance is at its peak. Make a deal with your exhausted brain. The deal is, I will work on my single most important task for just 10 minutes. I will set a timer. When that timer goes off, I have full, guilt-free permission to stop and do nothing else productive for the rest of the day. This works because even your most tired self can usually be persuaded to do something for just 10 minutes. The task is no longer the daunting write the report, it's the manageable work for 10 minutes. A funny thing happens when you do this. The law of momentum, an object in motion stays in motion, often takes over. The hardest part is starting, and by tricking yourself into starting, you may find you have the energy to work for 15, 20, or even 30 minutes. But even if you don't, even if you stop dead at the 10-minute mark, you have won. You have shown up. You have not taken a 0 day. Tactic 2, get physical, not cognitive. On bad days, your higher-level cognitive functions, strategy, creativity, complex problem solving, are the first to go offline. Your brain feels like sludge. Don't try to force it. Instead, focus on a simple, physical action. Instead of write the next chapter, your task is open the document and type 100 words. Instead of debug the entire application, your task is run the program and write down the error message. Instead of plan the marketing campaign, your task is open a notebook and draw one mind map. Anchor your action in a concrete verb that requires minimal brain power. The physical act of typing, running a program, or moving a pen often engages your brain in a way that allows the cognitive part to eventually catch up. Tactic 3, let your environment do the work. This is when the work you did in Chapter 6 pays its biggest dividends. On a good day, you have the willpower to ignore the notification or resist the urge to browse a distracting website. On a bad day, you have none. Your well-designed environment acts as your external willpower. Your website blocker doesn't care if you feel sick, it will still prevent you from going on YouTube. Your dull phone in grayscale with no social media apps is just as boring on a bad day as it is on a good day, giving you nothing to escape to. Your pre-designated focus space will still send a cue to your brain that this is a place for work, helping to dredge up whatever little focus you have left. On your worst days, you don't have to carry the full burden of your discipline. You let your systems and your surroundings carry it for you. The psychology of grinding it out. The benefits of showing up on a bad day go far beyond the tiny bit of work you actually produce. The real value is in the powerful psychological message you are sending to yourself. You preserve your identity. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to be. When you grind out your B-game goal on a day you feel terrible, you cast a powerful vote for, I am the kind of person who shows up. I am a professional. My commitment is stronger than my comfort. When you take a 0 day, you cast a vote for, I am the kind of person who quits when it gets hard. One of these identities builds an empire. The other builds a list of excuses. You short-circuit the guilt spiral. Taking a day off when you feel awful might provide a few hours of relief, but it's almost always followed by a tidal wave of guilt and anxiety that evening. You feel bad for not working, which drains your energy further, which makes you even more anxious about the mountain of work waiting for you tomorrow. This guilt spiral can poison your rest and sabotage the next day. By hitting your tiny B-game goal, you earn your rest. You can end the day knowing you kept the chain alive, freeing you to recover without the baggage of guilt. You build unbreakable resilience. Confidence isn't built on easy wins. Real, durable, unshakable confidence, what we call resilience, is forged in adversity. It comes from the quiet knowledge that you can perform even under the worst conditions. Every time you show up when it sucks, you teach yourself that your feelings are just suggestions, not commands. You learn that your capacity to act is not dependent on your mood. This creates a form of mental toughness that a lifetime of good days could never produce. You're no longer afraid of bad days, because you have a proven strategy to handle them. Your commitment to your worst self. Look at any successful person in any field. You are seeing their highlight reel, the result of their best days. But their success was not built on those days. It was built in the trenches, on the miserable, rainy, I don't want to be here days that no one ever sees. That is the work that matters. The ability to grind when you don't feel like it is the ultimate competitive advantage, because it's the one thing most people are unwilling to do. You cannot plan for when a bad day will strike. But you can plan how you will respond. The time to make that plan is not when you are in the middle of the storm, but now, while you are clear-headed and strong. This is your final assignment for this book. It is your insurance policy against your own worst impulses. The worst day commitment. Take out a piece of paper or an index card. At the top, write down your single most important long-term goal. Below that, write A game goal and fill in your ideal daily target. Below that, write B game goal and fill in your absurdly small show up when it sucks target. At the bottom, write this commitment: on my worst days, hitting my B game goal is a 100% win. I am a professional and I show up. Put this card somewhere you will see it every day. On your desk. Taped to your monitor. On your bathroom mirror. This is your contract with your future self, specifically, with your future tired, stressed out, and unmotivated self. Your best self is the architect who designs the system. But it's your worst self who has to live in it day to day. Greatness isn't found in the moments of inspiration. It's forged in the grit and determination of the days that suck. The next time you wake up and feel that way, smile. This isn't a setback. This is your opportunity to do the real work. Chapter 9, No one cares so you have to. We need to talk about a fantasy you might be holding on to. It's a quiet, often unconscious belief that fuels many of our ambitions. It's the fantasy of the audience. In this fantasy, you are on a stage under a bright spotlight. When you succeed, when you launch the business, finish the marathon, or publish the book, the audience erupts in applause. You receive the validation and recognition you've worked so hard for. In this same fantasy, when you fail, when you quit, make a mistake, or fall short, the same audience gasps. They whisper. They judge. Your failure is a public spectacle. This feeling of being watched, of being on stage, is a powerful motivator. It's also a complete illusion. It's time for the final, most liberating, and perhaps most terrifying truth in this entire book: the theater is empty. The spotlight is one you have pointed at yourself. No one is watching. No one is cheering. No one is judging. No one cares. That statement might feel harsh. It might feel nihilistic or lonely. But it is the absolute bedrock of personal freedom and sustainable success. The psychologist's term for this is the spotlight effect, our tendency to vastly overestimate how much other people notice our actions and our appearance. We walk around feeling like the main character in everyone's movie, when the reality is that everyone else is the lead in their own. They are consumed by their own worries, their own goals, their own dramas. They don't have the time or the energy to track your daily progress. The fact that no one cares is not a tragedy. It is the key that unlocks the final door. It is the ultimate permission slip. Permission to experiment. Permission to be messy. Permission to fail. And permission to define success entirely on your own terms. The extraordinary freedom of anonymity. Once you truly internalize the fact that the audience isn't real, a series of chains you didn't even know you were wearing will fall away. This realization grants you 3 profound freedoms. 1. The freedom from judgment. This is the most immediate and powerful gift. The fear of looking stupid, of being seen as an amateur, of failing publicly, this fear is what keeps most people from ever starting. Chapter 7. But if no one is paying close attention, what is there to be afraid of? When you know no one cares, you are free to be a beginner. You can launch the clunky version 1.0 of your product without shame. You can upload the shaky first video with the bad audio. You can publish the article you're not 100% sure about. You can take risks. The perceived social consequence of failure, which is one of the most powerful paralytics in human existence, is neutralized. You can finally focus on the work itself, not the imagined reactions to it. 2. The freedom to define your own scoreboard. As long as you are performing for a phantom audience, you are forced to play by their rules and keep score their way. You chase metrics that you think will impress them: job titles, salary figures, social media followers, the size of your house. When you realize there is no audience, you are freed from their scoreboard. You get to create your own. You can decide that success isn't a promotion, but the autonomy to control your own schedule. You can decide that winning isn't a certain income level, but the mastery of a difficult skill. Your definition of a good life can be yours and yours alone. This is the only path to authentic, fulfilling achievement. 3. The freedom from needing applause. External validation, praise, awards, a pat on the back, is a wonderful thing. It is also a dangerous drug. It's unreliable, it's fleeting, and it puts your sense of self-worth in the hands of other people. Chasing it is a recipe for anxiety and disappointment. When you accept that no one is coming to cheer for you, you are forced to find a more durable source of fuel. You learn to get satisfaction from the process itself. You find pride in the simple, profound act of keeping a promise to yourself. You become the one who validates your own effort. This internal validation is a stable, renewable source of energy that no one can ever take away from you. The end of excuses. When you stop looking for an external audience to either praise or blame, you are left alone with one person, you. There is nowhere left to hide. This is where you embrace the principle of radical ownership. Radical ownership is the simple, world-altering belief that you are 100% responsible for your life. All of it. Your successes, your failures, your results. All of it. This doesn't mean you control everything. You don't control the economy, the weather, or other people. But you have sole ownership over how you respond to those things. The amateur blames their tools and their circumstances. The professional takes ownership of their results. Listen to the language you use. The amateur says, "The traffic was terrible, so I was late." The professional says, "I didn't plan for potential traffic, so I was late. I will leave 15 minutes earlier next time." The amateur says, "My boss didn't give me clear instructions, so the project failed." The professional says, "I failed to get the clarity I needed to make the project a success. I will be more proactive in asking questions next time." The amateur says, "I'm just too distracted by my phone." The professional says, "I have failed to create an environment where I can focus. I will take ownership and change my surroundings." Chapter 6. This isn't about beating yourself up. It is the opposite. As long as someone or something else is to blame, you are a victim. You are powerless. The moment you take ownership, you reclaim all of your power. If it's your fault, you can fix it. If the results are your responsibility, you can change them. Stop making excuses. Stop blaming your circumstances. The deck is what it is. Your job is to play the hand you've been dealt to the best of your ability. Your results are your own. Period. Forging your internal engine. If there is no external pressure from an audience and you refuse to make excuses, what is left to drive you forward? The answer is the only source of fuel that can last a lifetime: internal drive. External pressure and internal drive can both produce results, but they are fundamentally different kinds of engines. The external engine runs on pressure. It's fueled by fear of punishment, deadlines imposed by others, and the desire for approval. It's loud, it's powerful in short bursts, but it's inefficient and prone to breaking down. It constantly asks the question, "What do they want from me?" The internal engine runs on drive. It's fueled by your own curiosity, your commitment to your values, your desire for mastery, and your self-respect. It's a quiet, high-efficiency engine built for the long haul. It can run in any weather. It asks the question, "What am I committed to?" You must deliberately build and maintain your internal engine. Here's how. 1. Connect to your why. Your goals are the what. Your why is the reason they matter. Why do you want to start that business? Is it just for money, or is it for freedom, for impact, for the challenge? Why do you want to get fit? Is it just to look good, or is it to have the energy to play with your children and live a long, healthy life? Your why is the deep, emotional core that will keep you going when the work gets hard. Write it down. Look at it often. 2. Fall in love with the process. Shift your focus from the destination to the journey. Find joy and satisfaction in the craft itself. Learn to appreciate the feeling of a well-written sentence, the elegance of a clean line of code, the focus of an uninterrupted hour of deep work. When you find satisfaction in the doing rather than just the having done, your work becomes its own reward. 3. Compete with yesterday. The fastest way to kill your internal drive is to compare yourself to others. Their success, their highlight reels, their seemingly effortless progress. It's a game you can't win. The only healthy and sustainable competition is with the person you were yesterday. Did you learn something new today? Did you show up when it was hard? Are you 1% better, 1% stronger, 1% more disciplined? That is a game you can win every single day. The CEO of one. We have reached the end. We have stripped away every excuse. We have dismantled every illusion. There is no magic app, no perfect system, no secret hack. There is no fairy godmother of motivation coming to save you. There is no global audience waiting to applaud you. There is no one to blame for your failures. There is only you. You are the CEO, the sole shareholder, and the only employee of You Incorporated. You set the strategy. You do the work. You are responsible for the profit and loss. You answer to yourself. This is the final, terrifying, and exhilarating truth of this book. The fact that no one else cares is the ultimate test of character. Can you still get up and do the hard work when the only person who will know if you quit is you? Can you still hold yourself to a high standard when the only person you're disappointing is the man or woman in the mirror? The answer to that question defines everything. This entire book, the discipline, the systems, the accountability partners, the environmental design, is not about pleasing a boss or impressing the world. It is a set of tools to help you keep the most important promise you will ever make, the promise to yourself to live up to your own potential. The world will not send you a reminder. Your ambition will not fulfill itself. There is no rescue team coming. You are the one you have been waiting for. You have to be the one who cares. So, care. Care enough to be disciplined. Care enough to build systems. Care enough to take ownership. Care enough to show up when it sucks. Care enough to demand the best from the only person you can truly control. Yourself. Chapter 10. Build the habit of action. We have reached the end of the book, but the beginning of the work. You have journeyed through the raw, uncomfortable truths of what it takes to get things done. You have faced the lies of motivation, the illusion of perfection, and the myth of readiness. You have learned to create clarity, build systems of accountability, design your environment, and show up even when it sucks. You have been given the tools. You have been shown the path. But knowledge is not the goal. A book, no matter how practical, is still just a collection of ideas. And ideas, as we now know, are worthless without execution. This brings us to the final, and most important, principle. It is the mechanism that turns the temporary changes you make today into the automatic behaviors that will define the rest of your life. It is the engine that will carry you forward long after the inspiration from reading these pages has faded. The goal is not to be productive. The goal is to build the habit of action. Productivity is a result. Action is the cause. We are not trying to complete a project, we are trying to become the kind of person who completes projects. We are trying to rewire our brains so that our default response to a challenge is not hesitation, not planning, not research, but movement. This final chapter is about forging that habit. It's about closing the gap between intention and action until that gap ceases to exist. It's about making doing it as automatic as breathing. Because the title of this book holds a promise. Nothing works if you don't, but everything starts working once you do. And keep doing it. The anatomy of a habit. Habits are not magic. They are not a matter of willpower. They are a simple neurological loop that your brain learns and automates to save energy. To build the habit of action, you don't need more grit, you need to understand and consciously design this loop. We will call it the action loop. It has 3 parts. 1. The cue, the trigger. The cue is the spark that initiates the behavior. It's the signal to your brain to run a particular program. Most of our bad habits are triggered by unconscious cues. The ping of your phone, cue, triggers the habit of checking it, routine. The feeling of stress, Q, triggers the habit of procrastinating, routine. Your job is to become an architect of your cues. This is where the systems we've built come into play. Your clear, one-sentence next physical action, Chapter 4, is a powerful, unambiguous cue. Your distraction-free environment, Chapter 6, removes the bad cues and elevates the good ones. A clean desk with a single notebook on it is a cue to write. A specific time on the clock, e.g., 8 a.m., can be a cue to begin your most important work. The more obvious and consistent your cues for action are, the less willpower you need to get started. 2. The routine, the action. The routine is the action itself. This is the part of the loop where you just do it. Everything we have discussed in this book is designed to make this routine as frictionless as possible. You make the routine tiny by applying the 2-minute rule, Chapter 2. You make it possible by starting before you're ready, Chapter 7. You make it resilient by having a B-game goal for the days when it sucks, Chapter 8. The secret to making a routine stick is to make it so small and simple at the beginning that it's almost impossible not to do it. The goal is not to achieve a massive result on day 1. The goal is to successfully complete the loop. 3. The reward, the reinforcement. The reward is the final, crucial piece. It's what tells your brain, hey, that loop was a good thing. Let's remember it and do it again in the future. Without a reward, a habit will not stick. The reward for productive action doesn't have to be a cookie or an episode of your favorite show. It can be something small, immediate, and intrinsic. The satisfaction of putting a big, red X on your calendar, Chapter 2, creating a visual chain of success. The feeling of relief and self-respect that comes after completing your 10-minute miracle on a tough day, Chapter 8. A simple mental acknowledgement: when you finish your small routine, close your eyes for 3 seconds and tell yourself, good. I showed up. This immediate positive reinforcement is what solidifies the neurological pathway, making the behavior more automatic the next time the cue appears. Building your habit stack. Knowing the action loop is one thing. Implementing it is another. The most effective way to build a new habit is to anchor it to an existing one. This strategy is called habit stacking. Instead of trying to find a new time and place for your habit of action, you simply chain it to a behavior you already do automatically. The formula is simple: after / before, current automatic habit, I will, new habit of action. This formula turns your existing routines into the cues for your new, desired routines. It's about integrating action into the fabric of your day, not trying to add another thing to your to-do list. Let's look at some real-world examples. Goal: write a book. Bad approach: I will try to write for an hour every day. Vague: requires motivation. Habit stack: after I pour my first cup of coffee in the morning, current habit, I will open my manuscript and write for 15 minutes, new habit. Goal: start exercising. Bad approach: I should go to the gym more often. A wish, not a plan. Habit stack: immediately after I take off my work shoes, current habit, I will put on my running shoes and walk out the front door, new habit. Goal: be more organized. Bad approach: I need to get my life in order. Overwhelming. Habit stack: before I close my laptop for the day, current habit, I will spend 2 minutes clearing my desk and identifying my number 1 priority for tomorrow, new habit. The key is to start with one. Just one. Don't try to build 10 new habits at once. Choose a single, high-impact habit of action, stack it onto a reliable existing routine, and practice it until it becomes boringly automatic. Once that loop is solid, you can add another. This is how you build a life of execution, one small, automated action at a time. From action, to habit, to identity. This is where the real magic happens. This is the ultimate payoff for all the work. When you consistently repeat an action, you are doing more than just producing an outcome. You are casting a vote for the person you want to become. When you show up and write one paragraph, no matter how you feel, you are casting a vote for the identity of writer. When you choose to tackle your most important task instead of opening your email, you cast a vote for the identity of focused professional. When you finish your workout on a day you wanted to quit, you cast a vote for the identity of disciplined athlete. One vote does not change your beliefs. But 100 votes do. 1,000 votes do. At first, the action is something you do. It requires conscious effort, reminders, and the deliberate design of the action loop. But as the votes accumulate, a subtle shift occurs. The action becomes something you are. It's no longer a chore you have to force yourself to do. It becomes an expression of your identity. You don't try to write, you write because you are a writer. You don't force yourself to execute, you execute because you are a person who does what they say they will do. This is the end goal. It's not about having a perfect to-do list or an empty inbox. It's about forging an identity as a person of action. When doing the thing becomes your default setting, you no longer need most of the tricks and tactics in this book. Your identity does the heavy lifting for you. You have successfully automated execution. The only chapter that matters. This is the end of the book. You can forget the specific stories, the clever analogies, and the chapter titles. You can forget everything, as long as you remember this: the only thing that creates results is action. And the only way to make action sustainable is to build it as a habit. This entire book has been an instruction manual for that single purpose. You learn to start messy and show up when it sucks so you could master the routine. You learn to create clarity and design your environment so you could master the cue. You learn to find drive and ownership and self-respect so you could master the reward. It all serves the loop. The action loop. The habit of doing what matters, day in and day out, until it becomes who you are. The reading is over. The last page is about to be turned. There are no more chapters. The rest of your life is not another concept to be studied. It is a series of actions to be taken, starting with the very next one. This book was your plan. As you now know, a plan is worthless without execution. The clock is ticking. What are you going to do now? Conclusion: do it anyway. Here we are. The end of the road. We have spent 10 chapters tearing down the comfortable lies and confronting the brutal truths about what it really takes to make progress in a world full of distractions. The secret, as you now know, was never a secret at all. It wasn't hidden in a productivity app, a life-hacking seminar, or a leather-bound planner. The secret has been the same since the first human decided to build the first fire. The secret to getting things done is to do the things. Everything else is just noise. You came to this book looking for an answer, a different way. You were told you needed more motivation, more time, more inspiration. You believed you needed the perfect plan, the ideal conditions, the right tools. You thought you had to wait until you were finally ready. You leave this book knowing the truth. You know that motivation is a lie you tell yourself to procrastinate, and that action creates its own momentum. You know that perfect conditions are a myth, and that starting messy is the only way to begin. You know that discipline is not enough, and that accountability is the guardrail that keeps you on the road. You know that clarity trumps everything, and that knowing your absolute next step is the key to movement. You know that planning is a comfortable trap, and that the real learning happens only through execution. You know that your environment is not neutral, and that it is either helping you or actively sabotaging you. You know that waiting to be ready is a guarantee you will never start, and that done is infinitely better than perfect. You know that the real test comes on the days when it sucks, and that showing up anyway is what separates the amateur from the pro. And finally, you know the most liberating truth of all: no one is coming to save you. No one cares as much as you do. The responsibility is yours alone. This is the brutal, empowering truth we have uncovered. Nothing works if you don't. Execution is your superpower. So what happens now? What is the ultimate reward for embracing these hard truths? What do you get for all the struggle, the consistency, the showing up? You get a superpower. In a world where most people are drowning in intentions, talking about their plans, and endlessly preparing to start, the ability to consistently execute is the rarest and most valuable skill you can possess. It is the meta skill that makes every other skill useful. Your intelligence is just potential until you execute on it to solve a problem. Your creativity is just a daydream until you execute on it to create something real. Your ambition is just a wish until you execute on it to build something of value. Execution is the bridge between the person you are and the person you want to become. And every time you cross that bridge, every time you choose action over hesitation, doing over debating, shipping over polishing, you are not just completing a task. You are forging your character. Every difficult call you make, every workout you complete when you're tired, every single paragraph you write when you feel uninspired, these are not just items on a to-do list. They are hammer blows on the anvil of your will. You are forging yourself into someone who is reliable. Someone who is resilient. Someone who can be trusted to do what they say they will do. This self-trust is the true source of all confidence. It is the quiet, unshakable knowledge that no matter the challenge, no matter the circumstances, you have a default response. You will act. You will figure it out. You will move forward. This is not about becoming a robot. It is about becoming free. Free from the anxiety of procrastination. Free from the guilt of unfinished work. Free from the tyranny of your own fleeting moods. Execution is your superpower. It's time to start using it. The final command. This book is now a finished object. Its purpose is complete. The words on these pages have no power on their own. They are a plan, a map, a set of instructions. And you already know what to do with those. The only thing that matters now is what you do next. Not tomorrow. Not after you've had time to think about it. Now. In the next 5 minutes. Your old life of hesitation and good intentions is over, if you choose for it to be. Your new life as a person of action begins with a single step. The choice is yours. The work is yours. The results are yours. The truth has been told. The path has been cleared. The excuses have been burned. There is nothing left to say. All that is left is to do. Start now. Keep going. Do the damn thing.